A 36-year-old so-called fairy girl cheated during her marriage and gave birth to a child. Yet, she firmly believed the child belonged to her husband. In order to prove her innocence, she even invited mediators to stand by her side. However, when the DNA test results came out, they showed that the child's biological father was someone else.
根据检验结果，排除孩子和男方之间存在亲生血缘关系，支持孩子和女方之间存在亲生血缘关系。孩子是女方的亲生孩子。
A few days earlier, the 36-year-old woman contacted the mediators. She claimed that she and her ex-husband had already divorced 8 years ago. At the time of the divorce, their only son was awarded to the father for custody. Now, the child is already 12 years old. Suddenly, the ex-husband claimed that the child was not his biological son and forcibly sent the boy back to her home. The more she spoke, the angrier she became, as if she had suffered a great injustice. She recalled that during the divorce, her ex-husband had gone to great lengths to fight for custody of the child, desperately insisting on raising him himself. But now, when the child was old enough to need a father's care, the ex-husband showed no concern at all, and even claimed the child was not biologically his. She believed she knew exactly what he was doing. He simply wanted to shirk responsibility and avoid paying child support. As a mother, she believed that both her own innocence and her child's innocence deserved to be proven. So she asked the television program to intervene and mediate the issue, demanding that the mediators go to her ex-husband's home to seek justice on her behalf. Upon hearing this, the mediators immediately went to the ex-husband. However, the ex-husband was not there. Only his mother and several elderly women were inside, playing mahjong. After hearing the situation, the ex-husband's mother looked deeply aggrieved. She said that in the beginning, the family had indeed questioned whether the grandson was really biologically related. After all, the child neither looked like nor acted like his father. But since the child had been doted on for so many years, who would truly dwell on such doubts? It was only as the child grew older and more rebellious that his temper worsened significantly. He constantly demanded pocket money from the family and even dared to hit his grandmother at home. Whenever he could get money, he would cause complete chaos in the household. He even once led a group of delinquent kids into a school fight and was eventually expelled. These changes made the ex-husband's mother feel extremely conflicted. She had once adored her grandson wholeheartedly, but now her heart was filled with doubts. Yet the woman still insisted that her child's rebellious behavior was entirely caused by the ex-husband's irresponsibility and lack of involvement in the child's upbringing. She firmly believed that the real culprit was the ex-husband's failure to pay tuition fees, which led her son down the wrong path. She repeatedly emphasized that her son could never be a bad child, and that all the problems were caused by her ex-husband. Hearing these words from her former daughter-in-law, the mother-in-law could no longer hold back and dropped a shocking revelation.
河南省湘雅司法鉴定中心司法鉴定建树遗传标记检测结果表明，排除他跟他爸爸的生物学父子关系。
The ex-husband stated that the child was not his biological son at all. He recalled that when his ex-wife first married into the family, she was already 2 months pregnant. They had once assumed it was a case of premarital pregnancy between their son and her. But looking back now, that might not have been the truth. This explosive revelation instantly stunned everyone present. The woman's face turned pale on the spot. She was clearly unprepared to face such accusations. She immediately denied it, insisting it was impossible. She claimed the DNA test must have been forged. She alleged that her ex-husband had a doctor friend and that fabricating a DNA report would be easy. She insisted that she had been with her ex-husband since her teenage years and had barely been apart from him, making it impossible for her to have gotten pregnant by another man. She firmly believed that the DNA test was an elaborate scheme by her ex-husband to evade responsibility and avoid paying child support. However, the mother-in-law was stunned and bluntly stated that at the time of the pregnancy, the woman and her son had already been separated for 2 months. They only got married after she was already 2 months pregnant. If she was truly innocent, what had happened during those 2 months before the wedding that she was so unwilling to talk about? These words struck the woman like a bolt of lightning, completely shattering her arguments. The situation spiraled further out of control. The woman and her former mother-in-law began arguing fiercely, and the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. Seeing this, the mediator quickly called the ex-husband, urging him to return home immediately. Upon receiving the call, the man rushed back. Faced with this chaotic situation, he did not appear overly emotional. Instead, he calmly expressed his doubts. He explained that he began suspecting the child's paternity for 2 main reasons. First, after the divorce, the woman would frequently send him messages asking whether he was abusing the child. This puzzled him greatly. Why would he abuse his own biological son? Second, the child looked nothing like him. Neither facial features nor personality showed any resemblance. He began to question whether he had mistakenly raised another man's child as his own all these years.
你们都离婚8年了，你带着这个孩子，你怎么突然想着要做个亲子鉴定呢？
经常发一些什么信息呢？就是骂人的，就想骂我们全家呀，怎么啊虐待儿子啊，怎么样？哎，我说怎么老是拿这个话题说？你既然是他是我亲生儿子的话，为什么老是说他担心虐待儿子？我说我就是不敢、不解、不理解，知道吧？我就是是不是做贼心虚啊？但是有自己的感觉，也听人家说过，这儿子越来越大了，越来越不像我了，就是这样的啊。我说心里有个理论吧，我本身就说还是去做一下鉴定，其实我都不想去做的，知道吧？
自己心里有数，你说我告诉我，
哎，你先不要有说不有说，我把事情上。
不管是怎么样，
有鬼的话，真正不怕眼子斜，知道不？这个有鉴定的。
The woman still firmly believed that the DNA test was forged and refused to accept the truth. She demanded that another paternity test be conducted. The man calmly suggested that they go to a hospital together and choose any hospital they wanted. They would do the test the very next day. The woman agreed immediately. The woman arrived at the hospital with a large group of people. A few days later, the paternity test results were finalized. The program then invited all parties back to the studio.
这一份鉴定是在我们的见证和医院共同的见证之下，你们3方一起到场，全部都做了。那对这一份鉴定，你们俩不会质疑了吧？
不会。
你呢？
我也不会，我相信你们。
根据检验结果，排除孩子和男方之间存在亲生血缘关系，他不是男方的亲生儿子。
The host then casually asked the woman whether she had ever been unfaithful. Though her words sounded firm, her eyes clearly revealed inner turmoil.
那我没有在外面没有那个过。
假如结果出来证明孩子是你的，那岂不是你真的是当着电视台向所有的人撒谎啊？
我没有撒过谎呀。
那好吧，那我们直接来看结果吧。根据检验结果，支持孩子和女方之间存在亲生血缘关系，孩子是女方的亲生孩子。
结果出来了，反正你知道这个结果是科学的证据，知道吧？你再怎么狡辩都没用了。
The final paternity results were now conclusive. The child was not the ex-husband's biological son. The woman's face instantly turned pale. She refused to accept reality and even argued with the host, completely unwilling to admit her wrongdoing.
你说都已经有铁的鉴定出来了，你还有什么可争执的呢？起码我觉得你为了孩子着想， 你也要向你旁边的这个男人真诚地表示一份歉意。我不管你说的事情发展到今天是不是一个巴掌拍不响，但是起码是非很分明。不管是从道义上、道德上、情感上、实际生活上面，你都伤害了男方，是你做的不对的更多。尽管一个巴掌拍不响，但毫无疑问，错误肯定是你要承担主要责任。你不光对不起旁边这个男人，你也对不起你的孩子。你给他这么复杂的一个身世，给他这么复杂的一个遭遇，你让这个孩子将来出去怎么面对这个社会啊？他的爸爸在哪儿啊？他从哪儿来的？
As the program concluded, the woman was taken to a judicial office for further mediation. During the mediation process, she finally showed a trace of helplessness and admitted that she herself did not know who the child's biological father was. In the 2 months before marrying her ex-husband, she had indeed experienced many things she was unwilling to talk about. She never expected those events to result in a pregnancy. However, even knowing the truth deep down, she still refused to compensate her ex-husband for the years of child support he had paid. In the end, the ex-husband decided to file a lawsuit in court to protect his legal rights. You know what's really chilling about this whole story? It's not just the DNA result, it's the way responsibility gets twisted, hidden, denied, and then dumped on someone else again and again until reality finally has no place left to hide. A woman cheats during marriage, gets pregnant under completely unclear circumstances, and then confidently passes the child off as her husband's. Not once, not twice, but for years. She lets a man raise a child that isn't his, pay for him, tolerate violence, tolerate chaos, tolerate humiliation. And when everything collapses, she still stands there saying, "I never lied." Gosh. Imagine the level of denial it takes to say that on national television while staring straight at scientific evidence. And this is where the conversation gets uncomfortable, but necessary. We're often told that women are the vulnerable side, the injured side, the ones who need protection. But stories like this show another side that people are scared to talk about, a side of selfishness, greed, laziness, and moral cowardice that hides behind tears, motherhood, and victim narratives. This woman didn't just betray a man. She betrayed basic human decency.
She wanted security without responsibility.
She wanted money without honesty. She wanted sympathy without truth. When the child acted out violently, smashed furniture, hit his grandmother, got expelled from school, none of it was ever her fault. No, of course not. It was the ex-husband's fault. It was unpaid tuition. It was lack of fatherly love. It was everyone else, except the one person who created this mess in the first place. That's the pattern, isn't it? Cheat first, lie second, gaslight third, then accuse the man of being heartless, abusive, irresponsible. And when cornered, cry injustice. What's especially terrifying is how casually motherhood is used as a shield. My child is innocent. Sure, but your choices weren't. You don't get to destroy someone's life, then hide behind the word mother as if it magically erases betrayal. A child doesn't just need food and money. A child needs truth. And this woman denied him that from the very beginning. Even at the end, after 2 DNA tests, after every excuse collapsed, she admitted she didn't even know who the biological father was. My goodness, think about that. And yet, she still refused to repay a single cent of child support. Not because she couldn't, but because she didn't want to. Because entitlement had become second nature. This isn't about one woman. This is about a mindset that's quietly spreading. Treat men as tools, as wallets, as backup plans. If things go well, great. If not, blame him, drain him, shame him. And if science itself proves the truth, just call it fake. We keep talking about love, marriage, and family value. But how can any of that survive when honesty is optional and accountability is negotiable? You can't build a family on lies and expect it not to collapse. You can't raise a child in deception and then act shocked when everything turns ugly. In the end, the saddest part isn't even the man who lost 8 years of his life. It's the child born into confusion, raised in resentment, and handed a broken identity because one adult chose convenience over conscience. And maybe, just maybe, It's time we stop pretending that betrayal wrapped in victimhood is still innocence, because it's not even close.